putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I got to tell you, I love listening to leftists talk about the economy, trade, the value of the dollar, all these things that they had practically no interest in under Barack Obama. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Radio Show, KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255. Tariffs are in the news because Donald Trump is raising the price of certain products, 25% on steel, 10% on aluminum. And in doing so, the steel market is coming back. U.S. Steel announces they're going to put 500 jobs back in the southern Illinois job, right across the river from St. Louis, but they're going to bring up the Madison plant. So already, on an announcement, you're already seeing it. Now, they had done it before. They brought 200 jobs back earlier when Donald Trump became president. They reopened that plant to begin with. Now there's a total of 700. Thousands of jobs will ultimately be created. We posted an article on this whole thing. China used to have a fairly significant percentage, but like say 10% of the steel that they produced in the world. Now they're almost 50%. That's the infrastructure that makes practically everything that you do in a country. And now China, exports 50%, a significant portion to America. And they cover it up. I talked about it the other day. I'm not going to go more into that because I want to focus on the tariffs. But what's interesting to me from the left's perspective is that they say Donald Trump is not smart enough to do this. And even when you get positive results, when you get other countries saying, you know what, we have to reconsider and we may need to lower the tariffs that we're charging for American products. And I'm thinking about cars right now because Elon Musk, who tweeted out something along the lines of, we get charged 25% to export our cars overseas. They get charged 2.5% to bring them into America. That's ridiculous. And he wants to sell a lot of Teslas. And he's going, if we were on par with trade, I'd be selling a crap load more Teslas. We'd be selling a lot more American cars overseas. I agree. I believe that. You ever go to Europe and see these little bitty cars, man? There are people that go, I want a freaking Ford F-150, or a Chevy Tundra. I don't know what these models are, but you know what I'm saying. So Donald Trump is going to these countries saying, we're going to adjust this. And here's what he tweeted out. He says, Secretary of State Wilbur Ross will be speaking with representatives of the EU, the European Union, about eliminating large tariffs and barriers they use against the United States, not fair to our farmers and manufacturers. Now, I'm going to tell you something, folks. This is so common sense. It's ridiculous in its simplicity. And yet, the left are still fighting. This is nothing but common sense. What do you expect a president of a country to do when your industry's suffering and it's because of these unfair trade practices and the other countries are like, well, they never ask. That's just the way we do things. And Trump's like, well, it's not going to happen anymore. And the left fight him on it. Look, tariffs made up 95% of the United States government's revenue until 1913, and then they started taxing the heck out of American citizens, and they figured out we don't have to use tariffs in order to get our tax money. We'll just beat the crap out of the citizens. That's what it was. Go look it up. You don't have to trust me on these stats. We relied on tariffs in order to get our income. Now, should that have been the case? The answer is no. In order to have trade, you need to have a fair trade. And we shouldn't be relying on that. We should have a big amount of money that comes from our citizens, a big amount of money that comes from the corporate taxes, and some money that comes from tariffs. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Steelworkers International President Leo Gerard said Trump was able to see the steelworker agenda. What he did is what we've been fighting for over 30 years. What makes me sad is we've been trying to get the Democrats to do this for over 30 years. That's what the president of the Steelworkers International said. Now, I brought this up on a Steve Hilton show and said, what about the unions? Somebody come talk to me about the unions. And so This knucklehead leftist girl, Nomi, she says, oh, so it doesn't matter. Those salaries are going to be 30% less. And I was like, let's just say that you're true, but it's true. It's 70% less. 70% of something, 70% of a job that had gone away that your president, Barack Obama, said would not come back is now back. Give me that and I'll take it every time. And so will the steel workers, the people who've lost their jobs. They've watched their jobs go offshore. This woman doesn't want to bring it back. Not to mention, I talked about the ingenuity that comes with learning something from manufacturing. And I used Intel as an example and said, look at the evolution of the Pentium chip and what it's now come with Intel. What we now do with microprocessors, because our manufacturing stayed here, because we have left that ingenuity here in the United States. And I could have gone on. And this lady's arguing, so here's the net of it. I don't even want to go redo the argument. You can watch the clip if you feel like it. The net of it is this. The jobs coming back to America and the fact that the unions, and by the way, I hope Janet's decision comes down and we can bust the unions, just for the record. But if the unions don't see that Donald Trump brought their jobs back that were gone, and they better no longer vote for the group that lost their jobs, if they don't learn from that, shame on them. President Leo Gerard of the Steelworkers International probably realizes this. He said that on Meet the Press, in case you want to know. He said Trump was able to see the steelworker agenda. Let me just correct him. Trump is able to see the worker agenda. 30 years, Leo Gerard says the Democrats have ignored what it takes to keep these jobs here. Now, if the people want to be part of a steelworkers union, I don't really care. I don't think the union's going to serve them, but if they want to be that, fine. I'm not anti-union in that respect. But I'll tell you this, if you don't have any jobs, you don't have a union. And if the union doesn't understand that in its membership, shame on them. Just so we're very clear, though, George Bush put tariffs on Chinese steel. Barack Obama put tariffs on Chinese steel. Hillary Clinton said she would put tariffs on Chinese steel. And yet, what happens when Donald Trump puts tariffs on Chinese steel? They act as if it's Armageddon. That's their word for everything. It'll be Armageddon. They don't want this man to do anything. If there's anybody that I would trust negotiating the tariff deals and our trade deals and understanding this stuff, it's Donald Trump. If there's anybody that's proven his ability to take the worst policies that, and I keep coming back to this very simple term, folks, common sense. Now, the Democrats use it for their own. We need common sense gun control. We need common sense common sense tax policy. They use it all the time as a term, as a figure of speech, but they never use common sense. They never use it. They never even go back in history to look at what other people have done. They just respond. They react. It's emotional. Trump did it. But Obama did it. Yeah, but who cares? Trump did it. I'm so glad that Donald Trump has the chutzpah. I guess that's a Yiddish word, but he has the male genitalia to go out and do these things that people just talk about. They talk about what was it? The building the wall, immigration policy. Nobody does a thing. You can go back and find clip after clip after clip of Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, all of them talking about we can't allow people to come in our country unchecked. I mean, we gotta close these borders. And they do nothing. Tax policy, they do nothing. We need to lower the corporate tax rate. Corporate tax is too high. We'll track business back. And he does nothing. Barack Obama, if you listen to politicians, they all sounded Trumpian. Every one of them. They all said, for the most part, they said the same things when it came to the economy, how they're going to boost the economy, etc. And then they become president and they do nothing. And the only thing I can tell you is if you probably follow the dollar, you'd understand it, because people say this and then do this. Just say what you need people to hear and do nothing. It's going to be a popularity contest. And Trump says, I don't care about your popularity contest. Not at all. Oh, man. I could go on this topic, honestly, forever, but we got lots coming up. We're going to be talking about a new tax that's going to throw you. I want to talk about the Pennsylvania election and California. This latest story, yet again, it'll shock you.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.